My opinion, I feel that the police are now so racist towards anyone white or English, or anyone who even looks like me. I would never dare speak to them to report crime. I would not email them or phone them. I do not trust them not to be racist towards me. And at a residents' meeting on Thursday, I was not able to come here last Thursday because I went to a residents' police meeting. I told the police straight, I will never report crime to you. I will never speak to a police person alone. I do not trust you. You are racist towards the English and white people, and we will not stand for it.
What's going on about this Afro think tank? White people are now experiencing racism. For real this time. But it's by other white people. Which by its definition would mean it's not racism, it's xenophobia, right? But they're calling it racism. They saying they can't breathe. Yeah, they're using it now. They can't breathe, right? It mattered when we couldn't breathe, but now they can't breathe, right? And we talking about the UK, all right? So it's different. It ain't like, America, the colony. We talking about the root, all right? The root. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I have zero empathy for the UK and its population. Zero. You know why? Because the UK and its populations has produced the most savage, subhuman, barbarian piece of shit criminals the world has ever seen. And they have that little punk ass island and its people have destroyed the world and set us back thousands of years from all of its activities. And you have colonized so many places and caused so many genocides on so many people. It's about goddamn time your chickens have come home to roost. All right, I'm just gonna say that. Now, back to being human. Some fucked up shit. All right, these white folks, to see this is different for the UK than it is in America and Australia and South Africa. Like when I see a South African talk about racism, I'm like, bitch ass nigga, go home. If you don't like it here, go back to where you come from. If I see an Australian, complain about racism in my home, because it's the weirdest thing. Europeans will colonize a place, right? Kill off or try to attempt to kill off the indigenous population, then pretend like it's their homeland. And they'll say that shit with their chest too. This is my homeland. You guys need to get any subsequent population that comes after them. This is our homeland. You guys are criminal, illegal aliens. You guys are they're doing all that shit, right? And do you not remember how y'all came here? You brought your nasty hygiene practices, killed off 90% of the population. Then you brought your guns and you killed off the rest. Then you lied about treaties and you disregarded all them shits when people try to be civil to you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like the worst type of person on the planet. Like you can't get no worse than you. You're every villain in every movie, right? You're the architect for every villain, every orc, every troll, in every Middle East movie. Like you guys do that. Even when y'all go party at your little Megadeth concerts, y'all have y'all little orc fucking battles and shit where y'all got mosh pits where your true goddamn demon spirit comes out while y'all beating the shit out of each other for fun to the unrhythmic music of your genre. That shit that's not popular outside of you motherfuckers, right? But it's different in England, right? Right, because that's at least that's European home. Europe for the European. I think every black person should leave the UK. I think every Asian and every black person should leave the UK. Everybody, leave the UK to them white folk. It's their homeland. Huh? Their little island in the rest of Europe. Give them back their peninsula, not a continent. I know they like to say it's a continent, but they don't meet the definition of a continent. But Europeans got to big themselves up. They mad that they don't have a continent. They live in Asia, all right? White people are round-eyed Asians. That's what they are. They the last motherfuckers to show up. They the round-eyed Asians, all right? And they live in Asia, on the edge, on the peninsula, the cold part, the part nobody want to live, right? That's why they look like that, right? But they want to call themselves a continent. But it's theirs, right? So if it's theirs, y'all should leave, right? Because I'll be honest. Is there such thing as a black British person for real? Are you really British? I don't think you're British. I think you're a black person who live in Britain. And if a white person from Britain tell me that, well, the only person that can be British is white, because that's white. That's us. That's our race. That's our culture. I agree. They should be able to have that shit. Let them have their goddamn fish and chips. Let them have that pink chicken. Let them have the salt and pepper being the maximum amount of seasoning they're going to put on their goddamn food. Let them have that shit. All right? Take your ass back to where you come from. Go make that place great. Right? But also, while you going, take all your shit with you. Take all your culture with you. Leave them shits. Leave that European white culture that they say they're losing. Let them have that shit. And I'm still trying to figure out what that look like. Because God honest truth, I don't know what white culture look like. I ain't never seen it. Right? The most culture I see is like, you know, Russians and the Swedes and shit. And like them people up there. Right? But they not, we ain't talking about them. They cool. All right? They ain't participate in transatlantic slave trade. They've been fighting against them other white folk. They know who the fuck they are. So they cool. I'm not talking about them. We not talking about them white. We talking about the white Anglo-Saxon barbarians. Them, the Anglos. All right? So, you know, there's no such thing as a black British or Asian British, right? It's just white. And that same energy should be kept in Africa, because ain't no such thing as a white African. I don't give a fuck you guys are in South Africa. That's a colony you stole. All right? You don't belong there. So there's no such thing as a white African. There's no such thing as a European African. No. Just like there's no such thing as a black British, even if you was born there. You are a African born in Britain. Just like if you white, you a white person born in Africa. You ain't African. So I agree. We both should be able to agree, right? And if you're an American, you ain't no goddamn heritage Native American. You are a white person in the Americas. That's where you are. All right? The only native people to the Americas are Native Americans. That's it. You know, currently they don't want to be called Native Americans. They like to be called Mexican and shit like that, you know, because they're whitewashed. But it's still the truth, right? But it seems like the simulation is happening right now is that them white folks in the UK are feeling racism. They complaining about discrimination and how they can't get hired and shit. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, shit, don't y'all still run the UK? I mean, who's in charge? Huh? A bunch of Nigerians became the police chiefs and governors and mayors. I see that one coon-ass black woman from Nigeria, right, she is a Clarence Thomas level threat, okay? That's what she is. Y'all better never let her become prime minister. She kick herself out of fucking Britain, all right? That shit's wild, right? But apparently white people in America, white people accuse other white people of being racist. That's usually how it works. And then they go back and forth trying to slap the tag on them. A white person like, you're racist to another white person. I guess like in the white world, that's like the biggest insult somehow, right? I don't know how that shit works, but it seems like they're the ones that do it, right? All the policies are made by you white people. So how's it racist if y'all the ones making it, right? But apparently, I don't know if it's some massive, I feel guilty about everything I've done by destroying the world, so let me open up the UK for the rest of the world to make up for the shit that done happened, because that's what it kind of seemed like. Y'all got a shadow organization of light-skinned Europeans that's secretly trying to give the Europe all of it to all the melanated people that they disenfranchised and genocide throughout this last 500 years. I believe there's a secret cabal of allies silently fucking white people over on behalf of the rest of the world. It gotta be. Y'all got schools in the UK that ain't got no white people in it. Y'all got schools. Y'all got more, and it's like hundreds of them. You guys are creating legislation to purposely, in law, disenfranchise white people from being able to get in certain positions within the workspace. Y'all guys can't get hired if you're white. Like, they literally, if you're white, you can't. Like, what kind of shit is that? And it's white people creating the policies. It's self-destruction. Total self-destruction. And I'm like listening to these, and look, the white folks don't trust the police. Because the police racist, right? Always pulling over white people and shit. You know what I'm saying? Looking at them like they're guilty and shit just because they white in their own goddamn homeland. How does that feel? Huh? Getting pulled over irregularly. Getting profiled and shit. I'm like, man, they like, fuck the police. That's what they saying now. We don't trust you, you racist organization. I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here, I gotta catch myself, because I'm like, hold up, that ain't us, that's them, that ain't us. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, because I'm feeling them. Because from their perspective, because they never had no slaves, they're not the rich Europeans that participated in the world domination and genocide. They're not the ones, they're just regular peasants. They're what white people was before there's those the original OG white people, and they live in the way they always been living, like peasants. They ain't never had no goddamn power or agency. They always been slaves. In the UK, they being reminded of that shit. So y'all got real lofty when y'all came to America, and they made y'all believe that y'all had a little bit of agency when they gave you all that free land they stole from Africans, right? Right? Remember the Homestead Act? That was the only time rich white folk ever gave poor white folk anything. Now they taking all that shit back so they can slap data centers up in that bitch right next to them homes y'all built, next to all that land that them white folks gave your ass for free, right? It's crazy. Y'all white people, y'all not very good to each other. That's the problem. Y'all done made us believe that you guys were unified. Y'all ain't never been unified. Y'all fighting wars. Y'all genociding each other right now in Europe. It's just crazy. Y'all got so many problems. All right, and racism is one of them. Y'all got population decline, racism, all your colonies are collapsing. I mean, shit. You want to talk about a chicken coming home in a roost? God damn, the dodo bird is coming back to roost on that ass. That's what's happening, all right? Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this shit in the comments section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
No justice! No justice! No justice! No justice!
So according to Uncle Tom, Zia Yusuf, white people are experiencing racism more than anyone else in the UK. Are white people being targeted for being white? Are white people having their places of worship desecrated? Are white people having marches, effectively hate marches, being done against them? Are white people more likely to be incarcerated than anyone else? Are white people more likely to be stopped and searched by anyone else? Are white people more likely to be denied job opportunities because of their white skin? Are white people more likely to be arrested than their non-white counterparts? Someone needs to tell Uncle Tom, Zia Yusuf, that no matter how much he tries to assimilate, integrate, no matter how much he tries to appease his masters, they'll never see him as anything other than subservient.
Britain is in the grip of two-tiered justice, which treats white people worse than ethnic minorities. That is the message Nigel Farage has delivered today. He was speaking after the appalling murder of Henry Novak, an 18-year-old student who was brutally knifed to death. In an address to the country today, Nigel Farage says cops are so afraid of being called racist that they are treating white people worse than ethnic minorities. And he said, quote, "White lives matter too." That is a murder that has appalled the entire nation. Shocking police body cam footage shows Henry lying in a pool of his own blood, and he's heard saying, "I can't breathe." But police called to the incident go ahead and handcuff him anyway and read him his rights. It came after his Sikh assailant, the man that attacked him, falsely claimed he was the victim and that he had been racially abused. Henry's killer, Vikram Digwar, had stabbed him multiple times with a Sikh ceremonial knife, but he had falsely claimed he was the victim of racist abuse and that he had had his turban ripped off. He was jailed for life this week with a minimum of 21 years behind bars. But Nigel Farage says this is not enough, and he's writing to the Attorney General to ask for the minimum term to be increased. The Reform UK party leader said the country should react with cold rage to the way Henry had been treated, and he said this must be a turning point and that there needs to be an end to two-tier justice in Britain. Do you agree with him? Let me know.
White women in this country, young white women, sorry, I should specify, think that the country is racist. Ethnic minority women do not overall think it is racist. They're actually tied on the question, but they're significantly less likely to say that it's racist than their white peers. And I think that's interesting. That's interesting in and of itself, but that it extends into other issues as well. So actually, young ethnic minority women are much more likely to say they feel valued by the country. Mm-hmm. They're much more likely to say they feel positively about improving their life chances, about things like being in a better position than their parents, about earning a decent amount, getting a house one day. All of these issues, they feel like they're much more positive and have more of a stake potentially in society, or feel like they do, than their white peers.
White privilege, eh? White privilege. Listen to the white privilege that is white privileging in the UK. Listen to this, guys.
Wrong. If you're a teacher in Wales, you get paid £5,000 less a year if you're white. Any other ethnicity and they'll pay you more. The fourth biggest police force in the UK banned white people from hiring. The biggest bank in Europe funded £2 million to 30 Oxford scholarships, and guess what are the qualifications to make it in? The biggest broadcasting platform in Europe banned white people from applying for a trainee role. Not one, but two members of the Scottish government stood up in front of Parliament and complained about how there was too many white people in and about every role and job and position, even when there's 17 times the amount of people of colour in UK Parliament today than there was in 1987. The UK police force has spent 15 million trying to lower
White privilege, eh? Do you see the white privilege? If you're white, you don't get a job. If you're white, you're cussed and looked down on and called names. If you're white, you're not going to get a scholarship. And it does not end. If you're white, you're racist. If you're white, you're privileged. If you're white, you're this, you're that, you're this. And all the evidence shows the exact opposite. Why shouldn't white people have rights in their own land? Why? Why shouldn't they be given the right? Why is it something frowned upon when in every other country in the world you're allowed to be, and I'm talking about ethnic origin countries, you're allowed to have more rights than everyone else? Why is it that white people can't say anything and can't have things when they are the majority in this country? What a bleeding hypocritical joke. Hypocritical joke. What a bleeding joke is. Hypocrisy.
There's a lot of reverse racism. Someone called me a gamut. That's a racial slur. It's about the colour of their skin, and when they get angry, they look like a pig. That is racist. These are white people using this racial slur against other white people. People are becoming so radicalised with this whole left agenda. It's absolute nonsense.
I think black people are way more racist towards white people in this country than the other way around.
Now they are. Today, because when...
and America, by the way.
Oh, yes, I'm saying, because if you're talking about now, today, in terms of like what I've seen on the internet and what I've seen with these DEI roles in industries and businesses, all of a sudden when white people are going, I can't apply for that job.
That's racist in itself,
the
whole DEI movement.
It is, but white people are going, I can't apply for that job, I can't do that, I'm not allowed to go and be an actor, and black people are all of a sudden going, just deal with it.
I wonder whether it's time to talk about racism against white people. 3 white police officers have just won a discrimination case after being unfairly passed over for promotion because they were white British by Thames Valley Police. Instead of going for one of those officers who have between 19 and 26 years experience in the police force, they parachuted in Sergeant Sidhu to the role of detective inspector, despite them not even being promoted to inspector at the time. The police force then tried to cover this up by saying it was part of a BAME progression programme, which it turned out didn't even exist. So, we have a major police force that's turned down very well qualified white candidates because they're white, just so Sergeant Sidhu can have a go to get the diversity numbers up. Well, we're prioritising diversity over public safety. But it's not just the police, is it? The RAF launched diversity targets that discriminated against white men. It turned out that the RAF had a target to make sure 40% of the force was female and 20% was from an ethnic minority background by 2030.
British is a nationality anyone can be. English refers to the native ethnic group of England. Only white people can be English. I understand you believe that is wrong, but I'm sorry, it's 100% correct. One of the fascinating things about racism is how quickly it disintegrates when you apply the cold light of logic to the arguments that it uses. Because if you can only be English if you're white, that must mean you can only be Jamaican if you're black. If you have 1 black Jamaican grandparent and 3 white English grandparents, you can't be English because you are not white. That 1 black Jamaican grandparent will mean that you're not white. But likewise, you can't be black because you're 3/4 white English. Take a look at these 2 women. Maria, who seems to be mixed race. She has a phenotype that we would often associate with people who have some African ancestry. She might have some European ancestry as well. And Lucy, who's obviously white, and therefore if she had 4 English grandparents who were white, she would qualify as English. But the thing is, Maria and Lucy are twins. They have 1 black Jamaican grandparent and 3 white English grandparents. But according to this ridiculous logic, Lucy is English, but Maria is not. And what's extra crazy about this is we're judging them just by the tiny sliver of their DNA that affects their physical appearance. Because of course DNA does much more than affect our physical appearance. Yes, hair texture and the shape of a person's nose or the tone of their skin is one aspect of what their genes control. But what about things like personality? What about sense of humor? What about their interests? Are they artistic or scientific? These two twin sisters will have a lot of things in common because they have a lot of genes in common. It's only their phenotype, their physical appearance, that is different. So we end up in a ridiculous position where it doesn't matter what kind of character you have as an Englishman, it's all about what your appearance is. Is that the kind of Englishness we want? And what's even more ridiculous is, what about a scenario where these two were adopted by different families at birth? Let's say Maria was adopted by an English family and grew up in England. And let's say that Lucy is adopted by an American family and grows up in America. Lucy would still be English. And Maria, who speaks English, is culturally English, is English in every way that actually matters, would not be English because of one small expression of her DNA.
Racism, I thought, was illegal in Britain, but it seems to be okay if it's against white people. So now we learn that every police force in Britain and the National Health Service now promote people according to their ethnicity, which means if you're white, male, oh my goodness me, middle-aged, you are discriminated against. Racism, I thought, was illegal in Britain, but it seems to be okay if it's against white people. We in Reform reject this completely. We want everyone treated exactly the same and given jobs on ability, not on race or sexual preference. Dead simple. I hope you agree.
You want to know what racism looks like in the UK? It's not always someone yelling racial slurs in the street. It's quieter, more polite, but more dangerous. I'll give you a few examples of how deep it really goes. The Windrush scandal. Black British citizens legally here 4 decades, detained, denied healthcare and deported by our government, their government. It wasn't a mistake, it was policy. Stop and search. Black people are 9 times more likely to be stopped and searched in England and Wales. It's not about crime, it's about treating them like they're a threat. School exclusion. Global majority children are more likely to be punished harshly, excluded and treated like a problem and not given support for additional needs, becoming a pipeline from school to prison. Immigration policy. The hostile environment policy was designed to make life unbearable for immigrants, especially those from global majority backgrounds. Racial control designed as law. Maternal health care. Black women are still 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. It's not biology, it's systemic neglect. That's just a few examples of embedded racism in the UK, often denied and protected by silence. So when I'm saying white people need to be accountable, it's not about blame. It's about being responsible, because benefiting from a system that causes harm and not saying anything is being complicit. And staying silent just keeps it standing. So if you're ready to learn more and unlearn your social conditioning, hit the link in my bio. I'm the anti-racist mum and I teach white people how to do better.
There is not a single white British child in 72 schools across England.
So let me get this straight. Japan for the Japanese, patriotism. Somalia for the Somalians, well, patriotism. Indonesia for the Indonesians, patriotism. England for the Brits, racism. Is that right?
In 454 schools, white British children make up less than 2% of the student body. White British children are also now a minority in 1 in 4 schools. Will there be a White History Month to help with these minority children to feel included? Will there be DEI initiatives to give them a leg up? Of course not. they're the wrong kind of minority, aren't they?
Hi, I'm Kylie, and no, I don't think white people can experience racism. Can white people experience hatred because of the color of their skin? Yes. But is it as severe or damaging as when people of color experience racism? No, not at all. And because there are institutional barriers to the success of people of color and systemic inequalities, racism is a stronger and more apt term for what people of color experience on a day-to-day basis. Prejudice is simply harboring negative attitudes towards somebody based on a characteristic that they can't control, which I feel is a better description of the attitudes that some people of color have towards white people. Am I going to be profiled and arrested based on the color of my skin? No. Am I going to have a harder time getting a job because of the color of my skin? No. Am I more likely to be arrested, incarcerated, or wrongly convicted because of the color of my skin? Or called slurs? Like, no, I'm not. So that is why we say white people can experience prejudice, but not racism necessarily. Because it diminishes the harm of actual racism by saying that white people can experience it. You don't say that men experience sexism, because they don't. Yeah, some women have hostile attitudes towards men, but it doesn't affect their day-to-day life or their opportunities or make them psychologically distressed.
It still continues to impress me that throughout history, white people, the inventors of racism, have continually found a way to be racist against each other. You've got the North Italians versus South Italians. You've got the British class system being based on blood. You've got the discrimination against Irish and Italian immigrants in the US. You've got anti-Semitism. Like, racism between races wasn't enough. You had to go on and invent intra-racial racism.
The UK is just as racist as America.
100%.
They just hide it.
100%.
Did you see that video of the old white lady? Who was it? Nico, that went undercover.
No.
He went undercover, yeah? No, Nico,
I love
innit?
Nico, of course.
Yeah, and then he went undercover. He literally, when I say you had a mask, like, it was white and everything, so they thought he was white.
Yeah?
He was going around, you know when they were protesting?
Yeah.
He was going around interviewing people, and they were just saying the most nastiest stuff. And there was one old white lady.
Yeah.
I can't remember what she said. I think she said something like, I can't remember. I think from the clip I watched, she specifically said something about black people. I'm not sure if she specifically said anything about Muslims.
Yeah.
She's a social worker. Imagine being a social worker. Imagine you have all that hatred inside you. It's not going to affect the way she does her cases.
Of course.
Of course it is.
100%.
People like that
probably
need to
gonna
be
sit there
fired.
and all the black people should probably say take their kids.
Probably, yeah.
100%. And she probably lies on her
And
files.
she probably doesn't help them. Or whoever, like, she has hatred against, she's definitely not
in the
doing her
workplace.
job the correct way. I think she got fired anyway. Internet. I love when the
love
internet
it.
does its thing sometimes.
I've been there, met on Newcastle support.
And for me, it's the longest
Yes,
drive.
yeah, but it is. The North is more representative of a normal British working man and woman than definitely London is.
So, what do you think about the rapid cultural change that you've witnessed?
I mean, I'm
assuming you've witnessed it.
So, well, actually, it's funny because obviously I'm Suffolk based, so I'm a very rural community, very conservative, very middle class. We don't have a HMO. We don't have asylum seekers in my area. I go to my local town, Bury St Edmunds. Cambridge is my closest local city, which heavily communist, by the way. Oh my God. You see communism flags flying around there all day long. Wow. It's insane. It's crazy. And it's all young students. And I think the core of the British Communist Party is sat in Cambridge. So I steer clear of Cambridge. But my local town, Bury, you go around there, we're starting to see it. You start to see hijabs, you start to see various different dress and more of it. So it's coming.
What about the cultural change in, say, Whitechapel, for example?
It's
what are your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on it? I think I did something recently, a piece recently, where I said we need a census. We need a census. The last census was done in 2021. The last census pointed out 15 cities in 2021. Obvious ones: Luton, Birmingham, Bradford. You look at Leicester. You look at all these cities. London. I mean, we're talking 15 London boroughs now that are less than 40% white British. Less than 40%. London as a whole, I think, is classified as something like under 42% white British.
British culture is white culture. They go, no, it's not. It's multicultural now. They're cutting that off. So the white culture is completely gone. But when you mention Africa, for example, it's black culture. When you mention South America, it's Hispanic culture. We are being suppressed. Our culture is being so suppressed that we become cultureless. And when we become cultureless, we have no identity.
What was the culture and what have we lost?
Right now, when you ask someone about British culture, you go, oh, you've got no culture. That winds me up.
Yeah.
Right, that really, really aggravates me.
Well, it's kind of true, isn't it? I mean, I can't think about what our values
values and culture is now?
Because it's being suppressed. British culture is British history. We are problem solvers, explorers, we're adventurers, construction experts, we are construction trailblazers, we are educators, we're of Christian faith. That's what our culture is. That's who we are. Christian beliefs, Christian morals, and Christian principles that are intertwined in our law and order, intertwined in our calendar year, intertwined in our society that makes it safe and secure. They're fair, they're just, they make sense. And this is the part of our culture which has been completely cut off, if you wish.
Do you not have a problem with this? This is from the House of Commons Library. As of June of 2023, there were around 11.4 million non-UK born residents of England and Wales. 19% of the population of England and Wales. We're talking 20%, 1 in 5, 20% of a country. They weren't born there. They have no ties there.
That's how you erase heritage and culture.
Yeah. Because a country is not just its borders. The country is not a set of walls in lines and rivers and oceans that form a place. A country is primarily its inhabitants and what they believe, what they stand for, their religion. The inhabitants of a land, it affects how the country is shaped.
Maybe the reason why really crazy white people are believing that white culture is being erased, and whenever they're asked what white culture is being erased, they can't even really tell you what it is because white culture at its core is just control. Controlling anyone and everything, especially those who aren't white. Telling people what their lives are supposed to look like so that it keeps white people comfortable. Even if it harms others, as long as white people are comfortable. That's white culture. It's white control. So when the world starts to look more equal, and white people that never left their spot start to see other people that they've oppressed this entire time begin to rise up and have their own voice and their own place in the world rightfully, start to gain something, it feels like the white people are losing something. But all they're losing is control. That's it. They're not losing anything other than control over all the people that they've oppressed this entire time. That's it. It's not white culture, it's white control.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Well, I hope all the white people are sitting down, because here's the thing. Racism is about the racist, and racism is actually like a problem for us. It's a cultural scourge that takes us out of reality. And so the invention of whiteness, I mean, I see this with Jordan Peterson fans and how spun around they are, because they'll deny whiteness in one breath and then tell me I'm betraying my people in another when they don't know my cultural heritage. So literally the only thing they can be referring to is whiteness. And so whiteness is the ultimate expression of insecurity. It's the ultimate form of narcissism. It's this emptiness at the center of this thing that's gone out into the world and committed acts of violence to hide its own emptiness. And so, you know, what we're experiencing in this culture is real shadow work. And so, you know, the American collective, some of them are able to do it to varying degrees. Others are melting down because of it, because it's this repressed reality. The racial hierarchy that people like Peterson love to rebrand as a merit-based hierarchy is a fundamental principle of how people engage with and define reality in their subconscious and their conscious minds, right? And so to point out the reality of whiteness is to point out to their shadow, to the thing that they're repressing that drives them, right? This kind of, like, those that deny whiteness the most are most led around by it, right? Those that deny reality are lost in delusions. And so it's actually anti-racism work is actually the deconstruction of our personal realities, because the most insidious form of racism is encoded in our cultural conditioning and the way our reality maps are formed by our entertainment, education, all of the ways we're conditioned to engage with reality, that it's just there, right? The fact that we need to make a distinction of Black people at all, the fact that it means so much in our culture, the fact that up until very recently, you know, Black is bad, the black hat, it's just all in there. There's nothing written in stone in the universe that Black represents bad and white represents good and purity. That is all, or like take Jesus, for instance. These fucking people like claim he's the son of God and they can't even give him the right skin pigmentation. That tells you all you need to know about the seriousness with which they take actual Christianity, which is to say not any at all, if they can change the color of their so-called God, and then the actual seriousness with which they take whiteness. because they have to make their God white, despite the fact that it's obvious this guy was, like, in their little story that they've made up, he was living in the Middle East. He was not white. It's literally that simple. And so in that distinction, in that kind of decision to make Jesus white, you can see both how they don't give a fuck about their principles and how it's always whiteness all along, hiding in whatever principles they claim to have. That everything can be reduced to whiteness. Look at democracy. The minute there was a black president, like prior to the black president, they were literally like circle jerking to the word democracy and saying, we're spreading democracy, you know, as we invade countries. You have 2 terms of a black president. Now they're running the fuck away from that word, just as Eric Fromm talks about in Escape from Freedom and Fascism. It's escape from democracy the minute a black guy wins the presidency. The minute democracy can yield a black president, they no longer want it. You know, it's that Fromm quote, like, when Republicans realize they can't win elections based on republicanism or conservatism, they won't abandon conservatism, they'll abandon democracy. Because it's not about either one. There's no such thing as conservatism. There's whiteness wrapped up in high-minded bullshit principles that they don't care about. It's all whiteness. And so to point that out to them hurts them. And this hurts liberals too. Like liberals, like it's the Martin Luther King quote, you know, the biggest roadblock to racial progress in this country is the white moderate, the white liberal, the one committed more to order than justice. Because what that is saying that there's a boundary, and that liberals will go up to that boundary but not over it, and inevitably their whiteness will lead them, which is the order. The order is whiteness. The justice is multicultural perspectives and multicultural opportunities, right? And so, you know, I think it's really about understanding anti-racism work is psychological work done amongst white people, and that, like, helping other human beings with their trauma is what we do when we're caring for our black brothers and sisters and the other many victims of racism. That the victims of violence and the victims of racism and the trauma inflicted by the sickness of racism in the minds of white people is very different than anti-racism work, which is the deconstruction of reality within white culture.
Do you think diversity has killed British culture?
I don't think it has, because I think the people that are branching into the British society are taking on our traits.
Fuck them! Again! Fuck them! Them and you is not friend. Fuck them! Them no need to be in your life. So why you making them cause you nothing but trouble and strife? Fuck them!
The texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such an extent that you bleach? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate, you should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.